Well, tubbing season has officially begun because I'm filling up the first tub of the year. So for a little background, I've been doing summer tubbing for, probably 4 or 5 seasons at this point. Initially just with goldfish, and then now I actually breed stuff in the tubs to the point that I sell them small scale wholesale. I use basically 4 different sizes of tubs. The first and largest would be this 110 gallon, which I believe is a Vortex. I got it from Tractor Supply. Oh yeah, and excuse the mess. A lot of this stuff's going in the tubs, the pots and such especially, and you know, my backyard's just kind of a mess too. But anyway, yeah, this 110 gallon tub, it's about 48 by 38 by, I think it's 19 inches high. Yeah, it is a Vortex. I still have a label on it. I like it well enough. I do think the quality of these tubs, of the Vortex tubs, is a little less than the other brands. I had to go through a pile of them, because, at least when I was buying mine, because the manufacturer must have had some sort of defects in the manufacturing process, and you could tell that on some of the tubs there were holes that they'd filled with caulk. So if you are buying the Vortex, I recommend checking them out first to make sure that you don't have any little pinholes or anything in them. Yeah, this is a decent sized tub. I've bred gold barbs and Jordanella floridae, which is the Florida flagfish, in it, and have been quite successful. Where I put it in the depth, it tends to stay relatively cool. I think I'll probably be doing Iliodon furcidens in here this year. That'd be the trout gadiad. And yeah, it's generally a nice tub. It used to be you could get them for like 80 bucks. Now they're over 100, and I don't think they're as good of a deal as they used to be. The next size down in my tubs are these 75-gallon Little Giants, which are roughly, I think they're, I want to say they're like 43, I think. I think they're 43 by 33, by about 17 inches deep. This is a really good size. I like them because they have a little more depth, so you can get more of a thermocline in them, and basically more temperature stability. But then on top of that, when you have a thermocline, the surface water is warmer than the bottom water, which allows the fish to find the temperature that they like. And I like using these for species that I'm not going to try to mop spawn and move mops or plants in between tubs to increase spawning, where basically stuff like egg scatterers, etc. Although I have done mop spawners in them as well. This is another one of the 75s. Now, I have 2 different brands here. These guys, these smaller tubs, they're roughly 40 gallons. I think that one that's a little bit bigger is a Vortex. It's about 45 gallons, and that's a Little Giant that's about 40. I think these tubs are the best bang for your buck in summer tubbing. You can get them usually for between 40 and 50 bucks. I know they've gone up a little bit with all the inflation and stuff in the last couple of years, but they offer a really good size to cost ratio. They're about, I want to say, crud, I can't remember how long they are. I think they're like 38 inches by, roughly 38 inches by like 23, 24 inches, and then 13 to 14 inches deep. It's just a really good size. Obviously you're going to get more yield from the larger tubs, but these are, you can get decent yield out of these, and especially for my mop spawners, I like to use them for the mop spawners, because I'm going to be pulling mops and plants out anyway. Now, these right here, these are Vortex 17-gallon muck buckets, and I don't really use these for actually breeding the fish. What I use them for is I transfer mops and plants loaded with eggs into pre-prepared muck buckets like this. They're 17 gallons. They're roughly 17 inches tall by 20 inches wide. And I actually will, when I'm getting ready for the season, put netting over them to prevent some of the predaceous insects from getting them. But I put mops laden with eggs in them, and then hatch out and raise fry in them to increase my yield of my mop spawning species like rice fish. Now, right now it's it's March 23rd, 2022. I typically, so I'm starting to fill my tubs for the year, but I won't actually put fish in these until probably Memorial Day weekend, possibly a week or two earlier if the weather is good. And by the weather being good, I mean that I am getting, my nighttime lows are only getting down to around 50. So where I'm at, I get a really strong temperature swing, even in the middle of the summer. So even in July, I get maybe 2 or 3 weeks out of the year where the nighttime lows are 60 or above. Most of the summer they're in the 50s, and then at the tail ends of the season I have nighttime lows in the 30s, in the 40s or even 30s. Now, when I put my fish out initially, well, actually I should say the reason why I'm prepping them like a month to a month and a half before I'm actually putting fish in them is that I want to allow these tubs to develop, basically to become seasoned, not just cycled but seasoned. I want to have algae establish itself. I'll add plants to these. I want the plants to become established, and I want the aquatic insects to establish themselves in the tubs, particularly chironomids, which are also known as bloodworms. They're great food for fish. And actually, most of these tubs, hopefully they'll come back. I have Daphnia that grow in these tubs. So I try to do a month and a half to get the tubs reared and going. And the other reason I do that, which I'm hoping to avoid this year by fertilizing the tubs early, but the last couple of years I've had big blooms of Haematococcus a few weeks after I filled the tubs. And Haematococcus is an algae. You might recognize it. It often grows in bird baths. It's a kind of reddish, purplish algae that coats stuff. And so there's actually Haematococcus has two different stages to its life cycle. It has a sessile stage, which is the reddish purplish form that grows on surfaces, and it stays in that sessile stage when it's in situations that have low nutrients and high light. So that's why you get it early in the season in the tubs, because you don't have a lot of nutrients in them yet, and you've got, the light from the sun blasting on them, and there's no basically they're not established, so it's really easy for Haematococcus to take over. Now, the problem with Haematococcus is because it grows on everything. It's an extremely tenacious algae, and unlike a lot of the algae we deal with in our aquariums, it will grow straight on submerged plants and kill them. So basically, until the Haematococcus bloom subsides, I can't put plants in these. Now, my hope is if I fertilize these tubs early, Haematococcus, as I said before, that sessile stage is only one part of its life cycle. If it's in a situation with lower light and, most importantly, higher nutrients, it becomes planktonic, i.e. green water. And actually, probably a lot of green water that people get in their tubs is that form of Haematococcus. So I'm hoping that if I go in and fertilize early, that I will avoid the sessile, damaging stage, the pain in the butt stage, and will get to the green water stage faster. Now, for what I put in my tubs, this isn't just building materials here. So each tub I like to put in at least one cinder block. These double cinder blocks I put in the larger tubs. These single cinder blocks go in the smaller tubs, and I like to put these in. They serve really two purposes for me. Get this arranged in here. Okay, so they serve two purposes, and actually I'm going to get these leaves out because they're just going to be a pain in the butt later on. I don't like to put leaves or other debris in my tubs. It can, I know, for some species be helpful for spawning, but I personally find that when you go and break down the tubs, it is a serious pain in the butt when you have a lot of detritus and such in the bottom, because then when you're trying to net the fish out, you're just netting out a bunch of junk, with them too and have to sort through it. So these cinder blocks serve two purposes. A, they act as a riser for plants that I'm planting that I want to be emergent, to basically put a pot of a plant and then have it, emerge from the surface. The other purpose they serve is the holes in them give the fish a place to retreat, especially from aerial predators. So I think that's very important for having success with your tubs. So I'll put, each tub gets at least one cinder block. Some of the tubs will receive multiple cinder blocks. Depends on, how I want to arrange things. So, but yeah, this is, yeah, I'm not going to put this one in. Actually, no, I'll probably put some of these smaller cinder blocks in the larger tubs to use as risers for plants. But yeah, that is, the base start of the season. The only other thing I'll say is this tub over here I left filled over the winter. Might not have been the best idea, but trying to overwinter some plants from last year. I don't know how successful I'll be. Looks like some of this juncus, the soft rush, looks like it is still alive, and I'll probably this weekend go and divide it and repot it and get some more out of it. I've also got some lilies in here and some lizard plant, etc. But I don't know how well they fared over the winter, but we'll see. So it's exciting start of the season, and talk to you guys later.